So in this video, I will be giving you my feedback on what it's like to use the Kamvas Pro 19 as an experienced digital artist who is new to animation. So a few weeks ago, I animated this in Procreate, but I'm not done yet. She needs a body, right? She needs hair, she needs hands. So this time I wanted to take the extra time to animate them and add them in, along with some more expressive movements. But the problem is that in Procreate, layering different moving parts like the hair and the body is extremely tedious. First off, you have to use groups for every single frame that you want to use if you want to change different parts. And then every time you select a different frame, you have to manually select the layer that you want to draw on again, which is super time consuming. Using Procreate Dreams helps quite a bit because it has tracks, it has colors, it has nested groups, but it's still lacking in several critical features like the liquefy and the lasso tool. And since I'm still relatively new to animation, I really need those to speed up the rough timing process. And I also just didn't feel like learning an entirely new piece of software for this, to be honest, so I was at a loss until HUION asked me to review their new 19-inch display tablet. It's called the Kamvas Pro 19, and technically, even though it's only 18.4 inches diagonally, it was the perfect size for me to use for this animation. HUION has provided this tablet in exchange for an honest and objective review, and no money has changed hands. Fortunately, I am pretty familiar with Clip Studio Paint, as it's a great cross-platform illustration app that's used quite often in the animation industry as well in Japan. See, there's a problem with smaller displays around 16 inches and below, and that's that you don't really have enough room to draw with all of the menus that you need to have open in the software. You usually need a more touch-friendly user interface like Procreate or ToonSquid has. Clip Studio is also available on iPad, but I really wasn't used to using their new condensed user interface there. And that's where the Kamvas Pro 19 came to the rescue. You see, it turns out that even with both columns of the UI visible, the drawing space that you have available is exactly the same size as the entire screen on my 12.9-inch iPad Pro. So super convenient. Before I talk about my overall experience animating with it, let me give you a quick overview of the specs. The Kamvas Pro 19 has a 4K laminated display and is also marketed to have touch capabilities as a beta feature. However, as with all things these days, I highly recommend that you make your purchase based off of what's available now. I think a lot of us have been disappointed with giant brands and small brands failing to deliver on their promises over the last few years. Now, HUION does have a detailed page on how to install and activate Touch for both Windows and Mac OS, but I just couldn't get it to work on my MacBook even after using the DFU firmware update tool that HUION provides. HUION did say after I reached out to them that they were going to check on it and they wanted to get some diagnostics from me, so I will let you guys know if there's any updates or if it just starts working for me later on. For me though, Touch is a nice to have usually when I'm at my desktop. It's not really a game changer for me, but at the end of the day, I think that if you use a Mac as well, that you should definitely just go into it assuming that it doesn't have Touch for now. The good thing is I actually did try to use it on my Windows laptop and the Touch did work quite well, so that's good if you're a Windows user. So if you've watched me for a while now, you know that I like the more premium experience with my tech, and the Kamvas Pro 19 absolutely delivers here. It's got a superb build quality with a sleek aluminum finish on the back. It's also got your standard built-in kick-out feet tucked in there too, if you want to use it at an incline. But I opted for the VESA mount option and the standalone monitor arm that HUION sells separately. And yes, I did buy the monitor arm months ago with my own money. The Kamvas Pro 19 comes with two pens, a thin model with 2 buttons and a thick model with 3 buttons, not including the eraser. I like the fact that the case holds plenty of extra nibs and doubles as a stand for both of the pens as well. The pens themselves boast HUION's new PenTech 4.0 with tilt auto alignment. And although I can't really say if I notice anything auto-aligning as I draw, it does feel more stable and accurate than the 24-inch Kamvas Pro that I used last time that only had the 3rd generation pen. The software is the same HUION app as before, and it has this really cool real-time numerical display for how much pressure you're putting on the nib. I think this is great because it highlights their low initial activation force, which is not as low as, using a pencil in real life, which is like nothing. But the moment I rest my 3rd finger on the pen, my index finger, it kicks in and it starts making a super light mark. The other adjustments that you can make in the app, like the pressure curve, the pointer calibration, and the display mapping settings, are all there and work great. One setting that I do want to point out to you though is the display settings. You see, the tablet comes by default in sRGB mode, which is going to look super dull. But if you switch it to Adobe RGB or Display P3, it will really show off how amazing the colors are. I honestly don't think the screen could get any better looking without HUION switching to newer technology like micro LED or OLED displays, but that would also drive up the cost really fast. So maybe making the screen glossy would improve the colors as well, but I think most of us prefer a matte finish when we're drawing and painting at our screens. The responsiveness of the pen is also pretty good. Clip Studio Paint is known to have a little bit of lag by default, but it is something that I think now of more of a subjective thing. You see, the rapid 120 Hz refresh rate and display in Procreate on the iPad Pro are nice, but the natural lag that you feel with these kind of tablets tends to compensate for the lack of feedback that's inherently present in digital art. It's kind of hard to explain. It's like it sort of gives me more time to make sure the line that I'm making is going exactly where I want. Obviously, in real life, traditionally, it's just one-to-one. You become one with the pencil, right? But in digital, there's still some progress we need to make when it comes to how quick and fluid it is. I think this also pairs well with the fact that HUION has a really great matte finish to this display. They call it their canvas glass. So instead of a coating or a film that's applied afterwards, the glass itself is etched to give it a more paper-like texture. I think it feels pleasantly smooth to draw on, but it's not too slick like on a glass cell phone screen, right? Personally, I do prefer more roughness, like my Paperlike screen protector on my iPad Pro, or even the rough plastic surface that you have on your standard graphics tablet. But to have that on this type of tablet, I think would come at the cost of sharpness, and I don't think I would want to compromise that for my desktop display. When it comes to connectivity, it features a headphone jack and 2 interchangeable USB-C ports that can also function for both power and data. I like to just use 2 USB-C cables, the one that has a red tip for power when it's plugged into the included 65-watt power brick, and the other one that just goes right into my laptop. Now, it does come in a 3-in-2 cable for people who need HDMI ports for display as well. The cables feel well built and secure in the ports, but I really wish they didn't put them on the side. I think they should have kept them in the back the same way that it's tucked under the bezel right here, so that it's more clean and symmetrical. The way it is now, it just tends to get in the way of my hand when I'm trying to type on my keyboard. So getting back to the whole animation stuff, after I set up the tablet and everything, I got to work exporting my file from Procreate into a PSD format so that I could import that into Clip Studio Paint. After watching a few tutorials to get up to speed animating Clip Studio Paint, I went to work. Drawing on a bigger display definitely makes it easier to estimate where to draw the right in-betweens in animation. And one of the most helpful realizations I had about animating lately is how much the distance between the drawings themselves influences the speed of a movement. See, I used to think that when people talked about that, it was the distance in between the frames, but that's not it. See, the further her hand is in one frame than it is in the previous frame, the faster it's going to look like her hand is moving. I found this concept to be key for maintaining a clear and interesting rhythm of movement, which is what I find the most appealing about good animation. The pen shortcuts were super reliable after I got used to accidentally pressing the top button way too many times. Even though HUION includes their own shortcut keyboard for this, I don't really like it still. I prefer to use my dedicated Moonlander keyboard or the Tourbox Elite for switching between frames and moving the canvas and rotating and stuff like that, changing your brush size. Animating can be super long and tedious, I'm sure you know, so I really did appreciate how this tablet stayed relatively cool, just a little bit slightly warm to the touch all day in my office. And it's really hot in Georgia right now. Even in this room, with the AC on full blast, it reaches 75 to 80 degrees on the hottest days. So that's super impressive to me. And even without the nice smudge guard that they include, my hand doesn't get sweaty because there are no hot spots on the display at all. It's super consistent. And even if my hands did get sweaty, HUION includes probably what I think is the best microfiber cloth that I have ever owned in my entire life. And I'm not kidding. Like, look at how thick this thing is, right? It's removed the toughest greasy oils from my hands on the screen without using any water at all. So it's so amazing. I almost want to say that you should get this tablet just so that you can get this microfiber cloth. It is amazing. I hope HUION sells them separately because I want to get more. Personally, I have a hard time not drawing too many details when I animate, so this is as far as I got for this video, but it's really important to get your basic shapes right so that you can get the timing and flow first before adding details that are gonna make everything complicated later. But I'm still happy with the results overall, and I think it's worlds better than the last head rotating animation that I did. So yeah, I think I'll be doing the bulk of my animating here on this display tablet. Oh, and before I forget, if you're interested in picking up the HUION Kamvas Pro 19 yourself, check for a link in the description box or the pinned comment. And this July 8th, HUION is offering 18% off if you get it on Amazon for Prime Day. Procreate is still super convenient though, so I'll probably continue to start my animations there and maybe tweak them in Procreate Dreams. But when Procreate Dreams 2 eventually comes out, there may be another story about this. I may switch to that completely. We'll see. Keep it up, Procreate. We're all looking forward to it. You know, just please. We want Procreate Dreams 2 so bad. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit like and subscribe, and thank you so much for watching. Keep drawing, stay balanced, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.